didn't pass away until 2013. It freaked them out so much that Broom coined the term Mandela effect to describe this shared false memory. Since then, people have been spotting these collective misremembrances everywhere. It's like going down a rabbit hole. Once you start looking, you see them all over the place. Remember the Monopoly guy? Lots of people would swear he had a monocle, but nope, never did. Or how about the Fruit of the Loom logo? People insist there used to be a cornucopia behind the fruit, but it's never been there. Now, scientists have some pretty logical explanations for all this. They talk about how our brains are really good at filling in gaps and how we can be influenced by things we see and hear. It's not that reality is changing, it's just that our memories are way more flexible than we'd like to think. But you know how it goes. Some people aren't satisfied with that explanation. They start spinning theories about parallel universes or glitches in the Matrix. You'll see full-blown arguments online about whether it's Berenstain Bears or Berenstain Bears. It's Berenstain, by the way. It makes you wonder how many other things we're all collectively misremembering were. The Reptilian Elite conspiracy theory is one of those ideas that sounds like it crawled straight out of a sci-fi novel. But believe it or not, there are people who take it dead seriously. It all started gaining traction in the late 1990s, when David Icke, a former British sports presenter turned conspiracy theorist, began spreading the word about what he believed was really going on behind the scenes of world power. According to Icke and his followers, many of our world leaders, celebrities, and other influential figures aren't just regular humans. They're actually shape-shifting reptilian aliens from a distant star system. We're talking about lizard people wearing human skin suits, apparently pulling the strings of society from the highest levels of government and entertainment. Now you might be wondering, where's the proof? Well, that's where things get a bit creative. Believers point to all sorts of things as evidence. They'll analyze videos of public figures, claiming to see moments where eyes change shape or skin looks a bit too scaly. They'll dig into ancient myths about serpent gods and dragon kings, seeing them not as stories, but as historical records of alien contact. Some even claim they've witnessed politicians shape-shifting during live TV broadcasts, which must have made for some pretty wild viewing parties. Of course, from a scientific standpoint, there's no solid evidence to back any of this up. Those weird eye changes in videos? Probably just camera artifacts. Scaly-looking skin? More likely it's just low-resolution footage or compression issues. And as for those ancient myths, well, anthropologists would argue that serpent imagery is just a common theme in human storytelling across cultures. But you never know. Maybe your favorite celebrity is actually a lizard in disguise. The disappearance of Flight MH370. So picture this. It's March 8th, 2014, and a Boeing 777 takes off from Kuala Lumpur, headed for Beijing. There are 239 people on board. Everything seems normal at first. The plane is cruising along, the weather's fine, and then poof, it vanishes. Just like that, off the radar, gone without a trace. What makes this so fascinating and frustrating is that in our connected world, where it feels like everything is tracked and monitored, a massive airliner could just disappear. We're talking about a plane bigger than a football field, packed with modern technology, and yet it managed to slip away undetected. The search that followed was unprecedented. We're talking about dozens of countries, cutting-edge technology, and millions of dollars spent scouring vast stretches of the Indian Ocean. They found a few pieces of debris washing up on beaches years later, but the main wreckage? Still missing. Of course, in the absence of concrete answers, theories started popping up left and right. Some are pretty grounded. Mechanical failure, pilot suicide, hijacking gone wrong. But then you get into the wilder ideas. There are folks who think it was aliens, because of course, or that the plane was secretly landed somewhere for evil purposes. What's particularly intriguing is how the flight seemed to change course. According to satellite data, it took a sharp turn, flew back across Malaysia, then headed south over the Indian Ocean. Was this a deliberate action? A malfunction? That's one of the big questions that keeps investigators up at night. You've got families who've been left in limbo for years, not knowing what happened to their loved ones. Every time a new piece of debris is found or a new theory surfaces, it must be like reopening a wound for them. 9/11's inside job theories. So here's the deal. While the official story says it was Al-Qaeda terrorists who pulled off the September 11th attacks, there's a whole group of people out there who aren't buying it. They think it was an inside job, basically saying that someone in the US government or some other powerful group was behind it all. Now, why would anyone think that? Well, these people point to all sorts of things they find fishy. One of the big ones is the controlled demolition theory. Basically, some folks argue that the way the Twin Towers and Building 7 fell looks too much like a planned demolition. They talk about how the buildings collapsed straight down at nearly freefall speed. Some even claim they saw puffs of smoke that looked like demolition charges going off. The official explanation is that the intense heat from the fires weakened the steel structure, leading to a progressive collapse. But conspiracy theorists aren't buying it. Then there's the Pentagon attack. Some people question how a giant airplane could hit the Pentagon without leaving a bigger hole or more visible airplane debris. There are theories floating around that it was actually a missile, not a plane, that hit the building. Official investigations say the plane's high speed and the fact that its wings sheared off on impact explain the damage pattern. But again, some folks remain skeptical. You've got documentaries, books, websites, all claiming to expose the truth. It taps into this feeling some people have that the government isn't telling us everything. But here's the thing. For every claim these theorists make, there's an army of engineers, scientists, and investigators who've studied this stuff inside and out. They've got explanations for how and why things happened the way they did. But you know how it goes. Once some people are convinced of a conspiracy, it's hard to change their minds. It's just a massive rabbit hole that doesn't seem to end. Bigfoot and cryptids cover up, so Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch if you're feeling fancy, is probably the rock star of the cryptid world. We're talking about a big, hairy, ape-like creature supposedly roaming the forests of North America. People have been claiming to spot this elusive beast for centuries, but somehow it always manages to stay just out of reach of definitive proof. The cover-up angle is where things get really interesting. Some people believe that government agencies or scientific institutions have hard evidence of Bigfoot's existence, but are keeping it under wraps. Why? Well, theories range from protecting the species to avoiding public panic to maintaining the logging industry. Because who wants to cut down Bigfoot's home, right? But Bigfoot's just the tip of the cryptid iceberg. You've got the Loch Ness Monster lurking in Scotland, Chupacabra sucking goats dry in Latin America, and the Jersey Devil haunting the Pine Barrens. Each of these creatures has its own loyal following and conspiracy theories about why they're being kept secret. One common thread in these cover-up theories is the idea of men in black, mysterious government agents who show up to confiscate evidence and silence witnesses. It's like a real-life X-Files scenario. What's fascinating is how these stories persist in the age of smartphones and drones. You'd think if there was a 7-foot-tall ape man wandering around, someone would have snagged a clear photo by now, but the blurry images and shaky videos keep coming, fueling the mystery. Some cryptid enthusiasts argue that the lack of concrete evidence is itself evidence of a cover-up. They'll tell you about confiscated footage, destroyed plaster casts of footprints, and witnesses being intimidated into silence. So you never know, maybe there's a cryptid in your woods just waiting on you the next time you go hiking. The Illuminati and New World Order. Let's start with the Illuminati. Originally, they were a real group founded in Bavaria in 1776. Their goal? Promoting Enlightenment ideals and opposing religious influence in public life. Pretty tame stuff, right? Well, they didn't last long. The group was banned in 1785. But here's where it gets interesting. Some folks believe they never really went away. Fast forward to today, and in conspiracy circles, the Illuminati has become this shadowy, all-powerful group supposedly pulling the strings behind world events. We're talking about controlling governments, manipulating financial markets, and maybe even deciding what's going to be the next big TikTok trend. Okay, I made that last one up. Now, the New World Order, that's like the Illuminati's endgame. The idea is that there's this master plan to create a totalitarian world government. One currency, one religion, the works. Conspiracy theorists will point to things like the United Nations, the European Union, or even global responses to issues like climate change as evidence of this plan unfolding. What's wild is how this theory manages to rope in just about everything. Global events, celebrities, politicians, they all become part of this vast, interconnected web of conspiracy. Did a pop star make a triangle shape with their hands? Illuminati confirmed. A politician used the phrase New World Order in a speech? Clearly, they're in on it. The theory has this amazing ability to adapt. Economic crash? Must be the Illuminati manipulating markets. Pandemic? Obviously a ploy for control. It's like a real-life game of connect the dots, where some people see a grand design in every coincidence or world event. There's also this whole symbolic aspect to it. Conspiracy theorists love